Hello YouTube, Wyoming's alcoholic. I'm here today as a thank you to all my subscribers. I kind of wanted to do something special today. Forgive the voice. I have, let me turn it this way, sorry. I know that camera angle, for some reason, the way I use it when I upload my videos seems to give problems on some of the viewing, so I apologize for that, so I'll keep it sideways. Anyways, I apologize for my voice today. I'm currently fighting off walking pneumonia, sinus infection, and ear infection, so I have not been feeling too good. So, kind of recovering on antibiotics and on a steroid inhaler and all that, and hopefully got to get back to the gym soon too. We got rugby season coming up, and I'm, man, haven't been doing good, so trying not to push it too early so I can get better, but that's not why I'm on here. Anyways, I wanted to say thank you guys. I know most of you subscribe to my videos because of, you know, I do mechanics. A lot of them could be small engine mechanics up to, I've done some minivan videos, some suburban videos, Tundra videos, you know, so I'll continue doing those car repairs. I also, you know, done some small stuff like some appliance things as well. I've got an appliance video coming up here soon on a freezer door and one on a friction disc for a snow blower, so another small engine video coming up. Anyways, I wanted to do kind of a special today, and thank you guys for subscribing and for kind of sticking with my channel. If you're new, welcome. If you've been here a while, thank you. The special today is kind of cool. I've kind of been waiting for a special occasion to do this. I kind of wanted to go through and show you guys some of my mounts, some of my big game mounts and a fish mount that I've had done. And if you guys are at all kind of impressed or interested, especially if you live near Texas, I can give you my taxidermist information. He's a fantastic taxidermist. He does amazing work. So, you know, hit me up and I can let you know his information as well so you can get a hold of him. So anyways, let's go through some of my my mounts here, and I'll kind of discuss a little bit about them and what was going on and what I took them with and whatnot. So we'll start out with my 2017 mule deer. I took this mule deer with my 270 Winchester. You'll notice his frame isn't super wide. He is a mature buck. However, because of the forks that he has, which are, by the way, amazing. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this that well, but his forks are fantastic. Anyways, this buck is a 175 buck. When I got this buck, of course, this was the biggest buck to date I'd had in 2017, and I just was totally humbled and blessed to have this buck. I couldn't be happier. It was just a cool hunt as usual. My 270, you're going to find out through this video that my 270 is my trophy gun, my meat gun. I have shot some other animals with different rifles. I do like to I like to hunt with World War II vintage open-sighted rifles, kind of a thing I like to do too. But anyways, so yeah, this is my like I said, my 2017 mule deer. Pretty neat buck. I like the just the expression my taxidermist put on him in particular. His ears are pinned back a little bit. Decent frame, like I said, real nice forks, just not super heavy. But like I said, 175. And we go on to the biggest mule deer I've ever shot. This is my 2018 buck. So believe it or not, I got these two in succession. Kind of the same area too. This buck, he's a 204 and some change. And of course that's gross, not net. But it's kind of cool. He has two kickers on either side, if you notice. And his kickers happen to be kind of symmetrical. The one interesting thing about him also is that he has an extra point on that one beam. His forks are decent as far as depth goes. One thing that is impressive on him is his mass. And of course, the width and frame of this buck is just fantastic. 200-inch buck. As far as class trophies go, he's the best animal I have in a class for the certain kind of animal. So, he also was taken with my 270 Winchester. He was an interesting hunt. Big old buck. We'd seen him a couple times. He was kind of hanging out below this rock wall, and you couldn't approach him from the front because the rock wall was downhill or uphill. He'd see you coming and he'd blow out. Normally we try coming around the right side and sneaking down, but the rock wall's so steep it was hard to get to him, and he'd always blow around the back. And no matter what you did, he kind of just always snuck drainages and got away. This one day in particular, I thought I was going to try to crawl this little string of willows. And as I was going around the left side of the rock wall, instead of blowing out to the right down below the river, he blew out in front of me. And he kind of crested this hill with a smaller buck. And right as he was getting to the crest, I did a blat. And I got him to stop for just a split second. And I got him with my 270. So by far my favorite mount, just because of, not because of his size, but like I said, there's the expression my taxidermist put on him, and these two boys together is just pretty dang cool. So in Wyoming, the sun is always in the southern hemisphere, so these guys are facing to the north. I do have a window here, but the sun, like I said, usually I have these blinds closed anyways, but the sun will not be fading that. Something I am keeping in mind if you're watching this, but you can get a big dip, you can get a good look here between a 175 and a 200-inch mule deer in different variation. Deep forks, lighter horned, wider frame, bigger horn, bigger mass, so but not as deep of forks, but two pretty cool specimens. I'm going to move along here. So this bull I got a few years ago with my Marlin 4570. I thought he was a good Euro mount. I did ordered that off YouTube, that hanger, but he's pretty cool. He's real palmated here. You know, of course I didn't score him. He's not going to be too big of a score, you know, but kind of a neat bull. Has his one antler coming forward there. Real good palmation. Neat bull. Like I said, I got him with a 4570 Marlin, 1895 Classic. You may have seen my video review. I shot him with the Leverution ammunition, 325 grain. So it's a good round and it does its job. So I'll come over here. This here is my 2013, my first real 6-point bull I ever got. He's right at 305. Got him with my 270 as well. So the cool thing, like I said, I like my taxidermist work, but this bull's expression and just how he's kind of pivoted on his head and everything. This is a dark bull. He was in timber. I won't tell you what area in Wyoming, just because I don't want more people applying for the area I hunt. But real nice timber bull. Like I said, his hair and hide is darker, and that's how you can kind of tell they spend more time in the timber. They don't get as much sun, you know what I mean? So, and then his horns had quite a bit of sap in it. I know they do treat some of the horns in the taxidermy too, but he always had dark horns. So my best bull elk to date has pretty decent swords. Like I said, and you know, he splits out in the back there on the number 6 pretty well. His thirds aren't bad either. So real nice specimen. Like I said, not a monster, 305, but you know, I really like this bull. And it was a fun hunt, probably the most memorable hunt I've ever had with my mom. So we'd hunted all day in some steep canyon, some big terrain, big steep canyon terrain, heavily wooded, and hunted all day, didn't even have lunch. Was walking back to the truck. I spotted these 2 ridges over, quite a ways away. The sun was setting, but we had enough time. We slid down the hill as fast as we could. This is before my mom ended up getting Lyme disease, but she's recovering now. But she wouldn't have been able to do that a couple of years later, sadly. But we slid down, crawled up on the hill. He kind of came out into an open park. That's where we'd originally seen him, but he came down to the park below. And it was about a 350 yard shot, downhill, high wind. And ended up hitting him through the front shoulder. And believe it or not, we ended up crossing the road that my truck was parked on to get to him, because we were almost back to the truck when we'd seen him. And after walking a good 7 miles in steep canyons and everything, come back to find a truck, elk within half a mile of the truck. I tagged him, like I said, in the front shoulder, and he basically pushed himself all the way down that hill. It was pretty steep, and he died really close to the road. Backed my truck up, and I pretty much drug him off the berm he died on in the back of the truck by myself. So pretty amazing story. Worked really hard for that bull, but it's kind of interesting. You end up finding them, you know, close to the truck after you walked all day and didn't really see a whole lot. So moving along, this here is my 2013. Got him the same year as I got that bull. My 2013 buck antelope, 79 and some change, just below book, under the 80 mark. Thing with him, real nice mass, real nice cutters, nice curl in on the heart there, on the heart shape. Beautiful buck. Also got him with my 270 Winchester. So you'll notice all the big trophies I got, my big antelope, my big bull elk, and my big deer I all got with that 270 Winchester. So, but like I said, you can kind of get an idea. Real heavy horned. We measured him out as on top of the taxidermist after we got him back just to make sure, and he was right on the money. So, so yeah, that's my best antelope to date. I got a bunch of skulls upstairs, some 77, 76s, but haven't broke that 80. Hoping to do that someday. This here is my walleye, caught out of Glendale Reservoir. This mount didn't come out right. I love my taxidermist, but I don't know if this was his fault or what, but the fish I caught was 29 inch, a little bit over 29 inch walleye. Wasn't nearly as big as this. I could put a picture up next to this too so you guys could see it, the difference. And this guy come back 26 inches, so I don't know. Lost 3 inches, gained some belly girth, lost some length. I don't know if that typically happens with fish. I'm not a fish expert, so as far as that goes, I fish a lot. I love to fish for walleye, but anyways, I was using a Canadian crankbait, just slow rolling through some beds and ended up hooking up with that big fish. So anyways, I'll put the pictures of the fish here and then you guys can see this mount and see if you agree or disagree. So continuing on, here's a mule deer from the year prior to, so this would be the 2016 buck. This one is a decent, I mean, you can tell his right side's a lot taller than his left, but a decent little 4-point. I got him with a Mosin Nagant, 1943, I believe. So, in case you didn't know it, I have a thing with hunting World War II vintage rifles, open sights. I kind of have a thing. So, the year I got this buck, so I had set out with a goal to get my antelope, my buck deer, and my bull elk with that Mosin Nagant that I got at Cabela's for $250. The year prior, and you can't really see the back forks a little better. Anyways, you know, nothing even, you know, like the 204 down there or the 175, but respectable. You know, I don't hunt. I like to take mature bucks, and here's a mature buck. The reason I hunt mainly is for meat, but I do try to hold out for bigger animals if possible. So, but anyways, that season I did end up getting all three with that Mosin Nagant rifle, which is kind of cool. So this was the deer I got. Didn't get the big boy that year, but he was, I think, the second biggest in the group. So not a bad buck. And this is the first bull elk I ever took that was like a mature bull. I did get a bull calf once prior to this, but never anything with antlers. I had this mounted. You'll notice on a couple of my animals, you know, I just mounted the biggest thing I had at the time, and you just work up. So, kind of cool though. He's completely busted on this side. As you can see, he even busted his tine, his G1, and his main beam. So, he, as you can tell, well, you may not be able to, I don't know. He's a lot lighter hide. So he was actually out of an area where there's not many trees. So he was kind of a prairie elk. It was kind of funny. I snuck on him, crawled some ditches, and, for it being my first bull, and I think this might have been my first solo elk kill, quite a few years ago, but pretty cool. My taxidermist did all this, cool habitat on there. It's kind of interesting because he's 90'd, and I mean, if you're looking at this, you don't really think much to see anything broken behind him, but sure enough, he's snapped clean off. So, pretty neat bull though. Kind of a cool story. I did get him with my 270 as well, so I crawled quite a ways in the prairie to sneak up and get a shot with him and his herd. So, kind of a neat story. Over here are some goats I shot, 75, 77 range. Let's see, I want to say, I think is it that one? I think it is this one. This is the Mosin Nagant buck. I got that here. The same year I got that deer I just showed you guys. So, kind of cool. My cousin, not my taxidermist, but my cousin did this dip for me since I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. I thought it came out pretty cool, but all pretty respectable bucks. Not as big as the one I have downstairs, but of course without hide and ears and everything next to them, they look quite a bit bigger just on the skull. But they're not. So this is kind of, I'll maybe show you guys this sometime a little bit more in detail, but this is my elk ivory collection and bullets collection. There's a story behind this bullet. Maybe sometime I'll tell you guys about it. I tracked that cow for a long time, and somebody had, I'll just tell you the story now, I guess, but somebody had hit her with a full metal jacket. And this is kind of why I don't like people hunting with full metal jackets. And non-expanding rounds. He hit a bull out of the herd, and it went straight to the bull, and it tagged the cow's forearm. And I ended up following her for quite a long ways to put down the cow that he injured. Now, I did have a tag, but I ended up not being able to shoot a bull that year because of his irresponsible hunting. But this, and I almost think it's a penetrator round. So I don't have respect for people that hunt like that, and that's the reason why you shouldn't. This just busted her forearm, and had I not put in the dang effort and tracked my butt off for about 7 miles to put down this cow that he injured, just went clear through his bull, 0 expansion, and went into her forearm. And he was group shooting a herd too. He shouldn't have, because there was targets behind the bull he hit. He shouldn't have been shooting period, in that situation. These are the bullets that I shoot. So I shoot Sierra. It's typically Sierra, and I use the boat tail soft points. And and this is what they do. They stick in the hide on the other side almost always. And I'm shooting, roughly, I think I want to say most my 270 rounds, if I'm shooting a 270, are 150, and anything 30 caliber that I'm shooting is 165. And as you can see, I've collected many, and they all do this. So this is this year's cow. So I just got a cow this year. If you see my video, I show you it. But this is her ivories and her bullet. But that was that. This was actually that 3040 Craig that I had shot Sierra's soft point boat tail, and that's what I like to shoot with. I got some old shark teeth, some cool shark teeth and stingray stuff, and things we found from our Florida trip. But yeah, so this is my ivory collection. I've got quite a bit. There are some years in Wyoming you're allowed 3 tags, so 2 additional cow tags, and your main either draw or general tag. And you can see there's a University of Wyoming bucking horse, the steamboat logo. This is my 10-year award for being at the university for 10 years. Anyways, so yeah, there were some years I ended up getting 3 elk in 1 year, and we eat a lot of elk. And you know, I have friends too that don't have the ability to hunt and could use some meat, so I end up sharing some of the meat sometimes too. But anyways, that's kind of that's a brief collection or generalization here. And like I said, you can see it's not all ivories, but there's a bunch of the expanded bullets, and I try to keep all those. But there's a good, healthy collection of the elk ivories in there. So anyways, this is an interesting round I found one time out hunting. I don't know if you guys have ever seen one like this. I don't know if you can come into focus. It's a 32-40 round I found. And I just pick up things that I think look cool, but I thought that was an interesting looking round. It looked like a straight walled, not a necked. So I thought that was a very interesting round. So, or shell casing that I found. And of course I have, you know, this one. This is pretty cool. This is World War II. I'm pretty sure it was World War II if I remember right. 20 millimeter. Anyways, and then of course this is, I think I got this in an air show. That's your 50. So anyways, I thought that was cool. Well, I'll show you the rest of my mounts, and I'll go downstairs and show you those. So as we continue the 500 subscriber special, I've got a couple bull skulls here. I do have a spike outside. I won't show you guys. It's in the process of being done, but I need to boil it. A couple of 5 points here. Top 5 point bull here was the trifecta that I got with that Mosin I got. Pretty decent little 5 point. I snuck within probably 25 feet of this bull. It's the closest I've ever been to a living elk that I was hunting, and pulled the trigger. One in the boiler room. He stood up. He was laying down at the time, about in a nap mode, really. It was a dead quiet day. Me and my mom were up hunting, cut tracks, and I just happened to be on the right side of him. There's absolutely no wind, dead quiet, nice soft snow. Just heel to toe roll walking, and just slowly snuck my way up. And I got, like I said, and the reason I got so close to him was because I wasn't really able to get a nice boiler room shot until I got past this one little group of trees. And like I said, I was about 25 feet from him. It was super close. I mean, not much further than I am now. I mean, it's amazing how big they are in the timber, but especially when you get that close with them still breathing. Anyways, that was 2 shots to the boiler room, and it was quite a pack to get him out, but that was kind of neat. And then a couple of years ago, not this last year, but the year before, so this was 2019, so 2018, I got this bull on the bottom, which is real similar, but they're 2 neighboring areas, both public land, but 2 neighboring areas. One of the areas is where I got my 305 bull out of as well. And I got this one with that 300 Win Mag, and I think I have a video talking about that as well. You guys can check out my videos, but that's that bull there with the 300 Win Mag. And again, Sierra Point, or Sierra soft point boat tail. And I ended up putting 3 in his boiler room. I didn't give him time to go down, and I kept pushing him. And that was kind of a lesson to me that I have to be reminded of occasionally, is when you put one in there, just give them time to lay down. Because when that adrenaline takes hold and you keep pushing them, they can go a little bit further, and ended up adding another 3/4 of a mile uphill pack because of it. So anyways, all 3 bullets were on the other side and the hide fully expanded, and like I said, that's the way I like them. So anyways, those are a couple Euro bulls I have. So here is the final leg of my 500 subscriber special, I guess you could say trophy mount showcase. Little tiny buck, my first 4-point ever, quite a few years ago. Even though he's a small buck, like I said, you can see my taxidermist details. He does an excellent job, just with how he poses them, the expressions on them. You see some that are bug-eyed and look lifeless and dead, and I don't think I have a single mount. You've seen all my shoulder mounts from him today. I don't have a single mount that has a dead expression. They all look like they're still standing there, as if the same as the day that I shot them. So, so this buck I got with that 270 Winchester was a relative easy hunt. He was actually the biggest out of the group I saw that day. And again, I'm a meat hunter. If it gets close to the end of the season, I do try to hold out for good bucks, but if it gets close to the end of the season, I like to take full mature bucks. And this buck, well, we'll call him a teenager. He was probably 2 years old. Not the biggest, but you know what? He fed my family, and like I said, his life is just as important as that 204 buck's life upstairs. All their lives are equally important, and each one I give the same respect to. It doesn't matter how big the buck is, and I thoroughly enjoy hunting, but more than that, I give respect to the animal, and the purpose is to feed my family and to give the animal the honorable and respectable death as fast as possible. So I don't like any animal suffering. I make sure I do good shot placement, and I use the proper equipment such as fully expanding bullets to do so. So anyways, that was a relative easy hunt. So yeah, that was pretty cool. My very first 4-point, which is the reason I mounted him. Some people might call him a 5 because of those little brow tines. I don't count those. Just how I am. This buck here was, well, not the next biggest 4-point that I got at that time. I think he was a couple of years or a year after that one. Yeah, not a big buck. Respectable though. He was a huge bodied buck. I will tell you this, that buck is the biggest bodied buck I have ever shot, and he was the most advanced in age. The taxidermist and the biologist both kind of said the same thing when I was getting a sample taken and when the taxidermist came to pick him up, and that he was on the receding side of antler size. He was actually so old, his antlers were starting to shrink. His teeth were so spread, and they were actually cracking, and there wasn't much depth left to his teeth. So he was a very old buck, very mature buck. He is by far the hardest buck that was to hunt that I've ever taken. I got him with my granddad's M1 Garand rifle, which was pretty cool. That was a neat hunt. That was the year after my granddad passed away, and in his honor I went and took his rifle hunting and got a deer and a cow elk. So he I started him quite a ways. He busted me kind of sneaking through some open aspen in a canyon, and I did, every few feet I was stopping and glassing, and I seen him peering under this tree limb, and I was like, oh man, I'm busted. And sure enough, he saw me, and he kind of went over this next little ravine, and it was all open. So I, as fast as I could, went up over the ravine to follow him, and I saw him sneaking down another ravine, and so I kind of followed him down that ravine, and then he went up, and I'd seen him a couple days prior. He busted us and did this kind of low crawl, if you will. He kind of crawled, not really crawled, but he definitely got low and stayed low when he went out of this draw. And so it's weird. I was on the opposite end of the property, and when I don't want to say the property, but the opposite end of the draw, and when I first started him, that's where he was, and he actually ended up going back to where I first seen him a few days prior, and he kind of was down in this, because he went up these dry ravines, and he ended up going over where this big rock pile and a bunch of trees, open, just single pines and a bunch of fallen logs were, and the wind happened to be blowing up towards the top of the rock pile, and so I went around behind and walked that ridge line, and every so often I'd peek out in glass. And I finally saw him at the very end of the rock pile with a couple does, and I busted him. He stopped and gave me just enough broadside, and I hit him with a perfect shot with a grand. But I had a meniscus problem that year with my knee, and I had walked and snuck on him a long ways. I'm kind of paraphrasing, not really paraphrasing, but I'm just kind of shortening up the hunt. I'm not going to talk about it. I crawled up a couple ravines trying to sneak on him, and he just kind of kept out in front of me. It was quite a hunt, quite a long walk, and he was probably the smartest buck I've ever taken. So, but like I said, all these bucks I respect and honor. All the animals I've taken, I respect and honor. Cow, whatever. All their lives are equally important. But yeah, that's I can show you my very beginning mounts out in the garage. And these bucks here are all before I really tried to start holding out for mature bucks, but back when I didn't have time nor money to really mess with anything. Me and my wife were broke, and we survive on wild game as it is, but these were some of the first bucks I ever took. One of them is a little 2-point on the far side. He was taken with Granddad's M1 Grand as well. I think that center one was my 270, and then this one on the left was also my 270. So my 270's done most of the work. A bunch of sheds I found over time. As you can tell, like, this is over a long time frame for me, so I'm not a big shed hunter. I wish I could put the time and energy into that, but my hat's off to all you that do. So again, all I can say is thank you guys for subscribing and for staying up with my channel. If you're new, welcome. If you've been here a while, thank you very much for just your support in my channel and watching. There's going to be more firearm reviews. There's going to be lots more mechanical videos. There's going to be more, fix-it, repair videos, how-to things. Just anything in my life that I find out how to do something, or I know how to do, or even something I learn that I may not do all the time. Sorry, I'll turn that sideways. I'm going to share it with you guys. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a world where we all try to be more self-sufficient. That's kind of one of the reasons for my channel, is so we can all just kind of learn to be more self-sufficient. We can all learn to be just a little bit more self-reliant and learn from each other. That's the point. So, like I said, the main focus of my channel is always going to be mechanical, firearm reviews, and fix-it stuff, and hunting things, of course. So I'm trying to work on some camera systems and things I can use to hunt with, barrel mounts and things like that. I've got one really old video I used with my GoPro, but that GoPro I had back then was so fisheye and it just didn't work well in hunts. So I'm trying to look at advancing things that way. And of course, I'm always going to be doing my fitness stuff, but I haven't really been able to portray that into videos, or nor do I think I have time. It's hard to find time with family and rugby and everything else I do to really, promote everything I do and do YouTube videos in my channel. But anyways, this is it's kind of a big thank you and just kind of a special I did. I've kind of been waiting for a special moment to share my mounts and some of my hunting stories with you guys. I hope this video was I guess entertaining to you guys. And again, I thank you guys. I try to, I guess, to use this channel to help people, but also, at the same time, I'm trying to build an audience, and I'm trying to I guess build a, I don't know, I guess I kind of know where my channel is. I know what the substance is. It's just, I just need to try to build it and make it a little bit bigger, get a little more popular, and, hopefully we can reach more people in the future. But, I said, without all you guys that have been subscribing and watching, it obviously wouldn't have happened. So, with that, thank you guys. Continue to like if you want, and if you're new, please subscribe. if you haven't already. Again, this is Wyoming's Alcoholic. As always, stay classy, Wyoming, and thank you for watching. Have a great day.